Hello viewers and welcome once again to the Dukascopy TV studio. I'm Ben Jones and alongside me today is James Gillies from CERN. James, thank you very much for coming in today.
It's my pleasure.
Now, the year began on somewhat of a controversial note with the build-up of Spanish debt, putting the country at risk of losing its right to vote at CERN. As a whole, how has economic growth affected funding and subsequently CERN's expansion?
Well, CERN was created nearly 60 years ago, and this is not the first time that our member states or some of our member states have suffered financial difficulties. And one of the great things that our founders did 60 years ago was create a governance structure that's flexible, that allows us to ride out these storms in a way that, of course, we have to tighten our belts like everybody does, but they do allow us to ride out the storms. So you mentioned Spain specifically. Now, Spain, it is true, did get behind on its budget payments to CERN, but the way CERN works is that we are very flexible, and our 20 member states, soon to be 21, do make allowances for countries that are suffering. So it is possible for a country to fall behind on payments, as Spain did, without losing voting rights, without losing anything for a period of time, and then to catch up later, and that's something that our member states are sympathetic to. So in the past, for example, it might surprise you to know that Germany had a rebate from CERN at one point at the time of reunification, when the other member states recognised that here were exceptional circumstances. So to get to the question of budget, CERN's budget has been effectively stable in real terms since the 1970s and remains so, although the ambition of our programmes grows and grows and grows, so we have to be more creative and more efficient, let's say, in the way that we deploy our member states' resources on our research.
Mm-hmm. Now, one of the arguments regarding Spain's debt were the potential economic benefits to be had from scientific research. But looking at other sectors like finance and banking, what are the benefits there from CERN technology?
Well, we at CERN believe fundamentally that basic research underlies everything, essentially. So if you take any gadget, anything that we rely on, or anything that any business relies on, and that includes finance and banking, and trace it back far enough, you'll find a scientist who is curious about laws of nature rather than somebody who wanted to make a new gadget. However, having said that, CERN really is pushing the limits of all kinds of technologies to beyond where they currently are now. So we have a partnership called Open Lab, for example, which is a lab, research and development lab, which we run with industry partners from the IT business, where we're really pushing their near-to-market technologies to breaking points so that they can develop those further and further. So there's a lot of, in the sector that you mentioned specifically, there are a lot of benefits in terms of CERN pushing the limits of information technologies. But in other areas as well, if you look at our developments in particle detection, then you will find those kind of technologies at use in hospitals and industries all over the world. And if you look at our technologies for particle acceleration, the same is true. Particle accelerators, for example, do all kinds of things, from producing medical isotopes to treating cancer to treating the rubber that makes the tyres of your cars. So there's a whole range of benefits that come from what we do at CERN, which is essentially putting smart people from all around the world together to explore the laws of nature.
Fantastic. And CERN was recently ranked as the most effective international organisation on Twitter. Was this a conscious effort, and how does this activity support your business model? Well,
our business model, we're publicly funded. We have 20 European member states, as I say, soon to be joined by a 21st. That will be Israel, and we do fundamental research. So our product, if you like, is knowledge about the universe. That's what we were created for. We believe that we have an obligation to communicate, so we try to communicate as openly and as widely as we possibly can. We also believe that because we live in a world that's dominated by science and technology, we have a duty also to try and promote scientific literacy. So communicating openly and widely is something that we do very, very consciously. And we dived into Twitter in 2008 for the first time, for example, not really knowing what to do. I mean, my job there is head of communications, and I looked at all the social media and thought, where's the rule book? And there isn't one. There is now, but there wasn't back then. So we dived in, and we've proactively tried to engage more and more and more, and we've developed this policy of using Twitter to that effect. And I was absolutely thrilled that paid off when Burson Marsteller said we were the most effective international organisation on Twitter, because it shows that we are getting the science message out there, and that is something that we believe is vitally, vitally important.
Now, looking forward, 2014 will see the EU-Russia Year of Science. How important is the renewal of the EU-Russia S&T agreement to the work that CERN does?
Well, 2014 also sees the 60th anniversary of CERN, actually, which gives you an idea of just how long we've been around there. So it's a very important year to us. CERN, it's important to understand, is not an EU institution. We were created at about the same time that the EU institutions were also getting off the ground, so we grew in parallel. But we do have very close relationships with the European Union and the European Commission, and even to the extent of having a memorandum of understanding by which the Commission recognises the governing body of CERN, the CERN Council, as Europe's strategic body for this area of science. So that's one aspect of it. So CERN is Europe's strategic body for particle physics research. That's recognised by the European Commission. The other thing that's important to know is that when CERN was created in the 1950s, it was created, if you like, with a dual mandate. We were there to provide a place where scientists from all over Europe could come together and work for peace, doing science in the name of peace. CERN was created to provide a place where you could do first-class research, but also as a place where the countries of Europe could come together and work peacefully. So it's sort of in our DNA, if you like, that we go out and we collaborate with scientists from wherever in the world they may come. And our first links with Russia go back to the 1960s. And the height of the Cold War, we had exchanges of scientists from the Soviet Union and scientists from CERN member states going backwards and forwards between laboratories near Moscow and here. We had exchanges of equipment and so on and so forth. So working with Russia has always been important to us. Russia has an excellent tradition in science and technology. There are many Russians working at CERN now. A lot of the components that we use at CERN, pieces of the LHC, for example, were made in laboratories in Russia. Novosibirsk, for example, made magnets for us. Russian industry made very important elements of our particle detectors. So it's a very strong and important relationship for us.
James, thank you very much for coming in today and talking to us.
My pleasure.
And thank you, viewers, for watching. That is all we've got time for, but make sure you stay tuned to Dukascopy TV for more updates and exclusive interviews. Goodbye.